your clients are learning how to interact with you based on your behavior and patterns.
What you allow.
Not necessarily what you say. Because especially if what you say is in contrast to what you do, they'll pay far more attention to what you do than what you say. Every time.
And we also need to remember that, sometimes we can have all the best systems and language and boundaries and expectations and everything outlined. And there are some clients who just struggle with really understanding this and really need either redirected or reframed, or eventually maybe this isn't actually going to work. I'm thinking of two specific clients that someone I know works with, and they couldn't be any different. They're both making some of the same quote unquote mistakes, right? Of like treating the service provider as an employee, and they'll like offload new tasks without direction, or that aren't even in the service provider's like contract or capabilities or what they said they were going to offer. Or they add on a shit ton of extra things when they're only paying for this amount of hours or this package or whatever. But then one person is redirected and said, okay, if you want me to focus on these things instead, this is what's going to get eliminated, or this is how much time I'll be able to dedicate to them unless you want to increase your package, or this is like where we're going to be in 30 days if this is what we do. And then the client can be like, oh, okay, no, actually, this is actually what I want. And it's a clear redirection. And sometimes those conversations have to happen instead of just saying yes and piling it on and either not clocking those hours or like kind of fudging how long it takes you to do other things so you can get more done for the client.
The fudging what you're doing so that it can like seem appealing to your client that you did it, but you're scared to admit how much time it actually took you, and so you're undercharging literally on purpose. The amount of you doing this is alarming. And
I used to do it. It's a people pleasing thing. Like,
you're like, oh, well, it only took me 15 minutes. And technically it was me replying to the email. So, like, that doesn't really eat into their time.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Y'all, I start my clock the second my butt sits in the chair. It's tracking when I'm even going to find the file I need to find in order to do this piece of the client work. It's tracking if I'm asking my team questions about what I need to do about this piece of the puzzle. Like, that's part of it.
Yeah. And I mean, ultimately, I do want to get you away from all the time, because that can set some weird dynamics internally. But especially if you've had clients who overstep, a starting point is you getting really clear on how much time you are spending and what you're actually making from the hours. Because I've seen many of you who have like a set package and then you exceeded their hours 3 days into the month and then you're too chicken to turn around and let them know. And, I wouldn't hesitate. And it feels weird. Trust me, it feels weird. And surprisingly, when you are professional about it, more times than not, people are receptive.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
so how would you frame that? Literally, you're a week or two into the month and you're like 3 hours away from being over. What would you say?
Sure. So I would email the client and I would do project update, name of project. If it had a number or whatever, I would include that in the title. And just say like timing concerns. And then in the body of the email, I would say, I wanted to keep you apprised that at this point in the month, we've already used this many hours of your package, which, based on the scope of the rest of the work you want me to complete, we will well exceed the original package that you purchased. I'm happy to wrap it up at X point, or we will need to extend and you'll fall into overage, which is X rate per hour. Let me know how you would like to proceed. But you can't get to the point where you've already done so much of the work. Like, that's irresponsible. Like, if you hit a stopping point, then you need to stop. Like, I've had projects in the past where I set like a rough estimate, but I genuinely had no idea how big the scope was going
Yeah.
to be. And so I did move hourly. And I said it'll likely be a minimum of X, but I didn't say how
Mm-hmm.
many. And then I said I wanted to get paid on a deposit and at the end of the project. Well, the project ballooned to
Always
no,
happens.
like 4X what we originally talked
Mm-hmm.
about, minimum.
Mm-hmm.
And so a week into the project, I let them know their whole deposit was already gone at this point. Like, we've gone through your whole deposit. Um, I'll keep you posted as we run into additional hours. Another week goes by and it's clear like it's going to be like 3,000, 4,000 a week just to continue along this process. And we might be working together for
Mm-hmm.
months. And so instead of waiting to bill what could be 15, 20,
And
$25,000
hope they pay.
and hope they pay, I let them know that the scope of this project has changed significantly, and thus I am going to move to weekly billing. Um, I'll keep you posted on
Mm-hmm.
hours. And that keeps them more in the loop of
Yeah,
like
what's
what's actually
happening?
happening behind the
Mm-hmm.
scenes. But then if they didn't pay, I emailed them back and said I appreciate you and wanted to let you know we will be pausing on this project until we receive payment. And then suddenly money
Weird.
appears.
Weird how that works.
Weird.
And it's stuff like that. And it's like big boss decisions like that and ways of communication that reminds the client of the relationship. I feel like every time we don't stand up for ourselves that way or set that boundary or be clear on those terms, it muddies the water of I'm just a member of your team and I'm acting like an employee because whatever you give me, I have to do. And that is not the case.